Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I have a fun fall recipe for you. I am going to be making some keto quote apple fritter muffins. Now I took a recipe that uses zucchini in a bread and I've made it into muffins using the chayote or chayote squash. I'm not sure how you say that. So let's get into the video and I'll show you everything that goes into it, and I will have everything down in the description box. So first off, for the muffin base recipe, you're going to need some sort of flour. I'm using macadamia nut flour, but you are welcome to use almond flour if you cannot find the macadamia nut flour. I found it at grocery outlet. I just wanted to try it, so I'm trying it out in this recipe. You're also going to need a half of a cup of coconut flour. You are going to need 1 teaspoon of pumpkin pie spice, a half of a cup of some sort of sweetener. I'm using the monkfruit sweetener. You will need a half of a cup of softened butter, 3 eggs, 2 teaspoons of apple extract. Now I found this on Amazon, so I will have a link for it down below. You will need 2 teaspoons of baking powder, a half of a teaspoon of xanthan gum, and a half of a cup of some sort of almond milk. I just happen to have this coconut almond milk in my refrigerator, so that's what I'm using. So that's what you're going to need for just the base muffin part of the recipe. For the glaze, you're going to need a 1/4 cup of some sort of powdered sweetener. I'm using this one from Sweet Leaf. I got this at grocery outlet also. And then you will need 2 to 3 tablespoons of heavy cream, or you could use almond milk, either one, whichever one you'd like to use. And then for the apple filling, you're going to need some lemon juice, and you'll need some golden sweetener or any kind of sweetener you want to use, some pumpkin pie spice, and then 2 of the chayote squash, or you can use 1 whole zucchini for this. Either one will work. If you cannot find the squash, the zucchini will work just fine in this recipe. If you are using the squash, then I highly recommend that you go ahead and boil it. So you're going to want to cut and peel the squash, core it out. There's just a little bit of a core in this, and then you're going to put it into some boiling water and just boil it for about 10 minutes, just until it's softened a little bit. If you're using zucchini, you don't need to do this step because zucchini will soften up, but the squash is just a little bit harder, so I do recommend doing that. So I'm going to do this step first so it gets nice and soft before we move on to the next step. The next step is our topping. So I'm taking some of the golden sweetener, 1/4 cup of it, and a teaspoon of pumpkin pie spice, mixing it together. Then we're going to set this aside because we'll be adding this to the top of our muffins. And then the muffin recipe, so I told you guys we're using coconut flour, macadamia flour, baking powder, I'm using some pumpkin pie spice and some xanthan gum, and all that is going to go into a bowl. We're going to mix it all together and set that aside, and we'll go and work on our wet ingredients next. In my bowl here, I have a half of a cup of monkfruit sweetener from Keto and a half of a cup of butter that I softened. I'm going to whip that together till it is nice and creamy. Add in your 3 eggs. We're going to beat that, and then we will be adding in the apple extract. And we'll be doing 2 teaspoons of the apple flavor extract. Okay, now that the eggs and the apple extract are all mixed in, we're going to add in our dry ingredients. So this is what we did earlier, the flours, baking powder, xanthan gum. So all this is going to go into there. Next up, we are going to add in our half of a cup of almond milk. This for me happens to be the almond coconut milk combined. So I'm going to add that in there, and then I'm going to also add in half of this cinnamon or pumpkin pie spice sweetener mix. I'm going to do half of it in here, and then the other half we'll sprinkle on top of our muffins. My squash is all done, so I'm going to go ahead and let some cold water run over it. That way it gets nice and cool. I don't want it to be really super hot when we put it in the muffin mixture. So I'm just going to let it just sit here with some cold water for a while, and then I'll show you what I'm going to do with this mixture next. So this is all ready for the apple filling. So we'll go ahead, as soon as that is ready to be done, we'll add it and fold it into this. In the meantime, I will start getting that ready, and I'll show you what I'm going to do with the squash. We are going to go ahead and make the glaze for the top of the muffins, so when they come out, we can put the glaze on there when they're still a little bit warm. So I have a 1/4 cup of this Sweet Leaf better than sugar powdered sweetener, and I'm going to do 3 to 4 tablespoons of the heavy cream. I already put 3 tablespoons in there. We'll see how that is. I think that'll be probably just fine. Actually, maybe 3 tablespoons was too much. No, I think it'll be okay, because we want it to be kind of a thin glaze that we just drizzle over the muffin. So I think we'll be good with this. So we're going to make this, set it aside until the muffins are all ready. Our oven is preheated to 350. I have my muffin tins ready. The squash is ready. I'm just going to add in just a squirt of lemon juice. I don't know, this is what I always do with like apple pie. So I'm kind of, you know, treating it kind of the same. And I think it's just, I don't know if squash browns or not. I have no idea. So we'll just see what happens. We'll go with it. I'm gonna put in some more pumpkin pie spice just because. And then I am gonna add in just a little bit of, I think I'm just gonna do like 2 tablespoons of the golden monk fruit sweetener just to add just a little bit more sweetness, but you probably, it's really up to you how sweet you like your muffins. And we'll just mix that up. And then this is just gonna go right into that muffin mixture. We're gonna fold it into there. I just tasted the mixture and I feel like it needs just a little bit more apple flavor. So I went ahead and added in a half of a teaspoon of the apple extract in there. And I think this will make it just a little bit more apple-y flavor. Now, because this has coconut flour, I highly recommend you let this mixture sit just to let it absorb all the liquid and everything, because coconut flour just takes a little bit to absorb all that. But because my mixture's been sitting here while I was getting the squash ready, it's nice and thick. And you'll notice, you'll know right away, because it just starts to get really super fluffy once that coconut flour starts to activate. So I'm gonna go ahead and scoop this out into my muffin tin. Now I am going to take the rest of this cinnamon sugar sweetener and I'm gonna just sprinkle it on top here. Like I said, this was originally a bread recipe and you kind of swirled this in there, like you put half of it in when you layered the different layers in the bread. But obviously I'm not doing that. One main reason why is because I went to go buy a loaf pan this weekend and Walmart was completely sold out of loaf pans. It was absolutely crazy. And I don't have a good one. So anyway, I'm gonna finish doing that. Then this is going to go into a 350-degree oven. I'm gonna start it off with 30 minutes, see how it goes, but I have a feeling they might take just a little bit longer. Okay, after 30 minutes, I checked them. I think they still need probably 5 more minutes just to make sure they're completely done in the middle. I checked them with a knife and it didn't come out clean. So I think I'm gonna do 5 more minutes, so that'll be 35 minutes total. Your oven may totally vary, but this is what it is so far with mine. So they took 35 minutes and they came out perfect. I drizzled some of the icing on there. I'm gonna let the icing set up and then I'm gonna let them cool completely and I will try them and I will be sure to let you know what I think of these.